This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, ready to talk about the hottest team in South Florida. It is InterMiami with Michelle Kaufman. Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports, like I and many others do. How you doing, Michelle? How you hanging out there waiting for the boys to take the pitch again?
Yeah, well, they just keep winning. This is a team that does not lose. At 12 games in a row, they have not lost in 12 games in a row after not winning for 11 games in a row. So talk about a complete turnaround, and they did it without Messi. They scored 3 goals and beat Kansas City without Lionel Messi, without 7 other players as well, which it really says a lot, and it gave them a lot of confidence, that team, to know that they could win. Obviously, they'd rather have him there. He's clearly, a big reason that they have had this streak, but he's given them so much confidence, he and the other 2 new players, that, the veterans, that they've given them so much confidence that everybody's playing better than they were before. And they were able to win a game and get 3 points, a tough game where they had to come from behind and hang on at the end. And they did it without the GOAT. They did it without Messi. And that is going to help them going forward, because every single player who played in that game is going to feel more confident knowing that the team doesn't only win when Messi is there.
By the way, how is he? Because he was, I guess, a little tired, and I think he may not even play in this second match, right?
He didn't play against Bolivia. He did not play last night against Bolivia. He sat. He wasn't even on the game roster.
So is he coming Saturday for us?
Yes.
Or
Yes. I believe he's on his way back if he's not here already. Yeah, I think this was all planned for him to play against Ecuador, probably not play against Bolivia. They clearly didn't need him. They won 3-0 without him. That was one of the lower teams that they were going to play. And it was at 12,000 feet or whatever at altitude. He was already exhausted. He had played for InterMiami 11 games in 44 days. So he was playing every 4 days and playing 90 minutes plus in most of those games. So he was playing every 4 days and kind of needed a break. And he played against Argentina for the first 88 minutes and then asked to come out, which is very uncharacteristic. He never asks to come out. So there was a lot of question last Thursday when he came out of that game. Is he injured or is he just tired? Injured, tired. We don't know really, but he said that he was tired. The Argentine Federation, said that they evaluated him and they did not see any injuries, so that it really was exhaustion. And then he rested. The Bolivia game, he didn't play at all. So I believe that the plan is for him to be here by today and train with the team and presumably to play on Saturday against what could be a record crowd, because they opened up Mercedes-Benz Stadium. They usually only have 42,000 only. That's still one of the bigger venues from MLS, but they usually have the capacity set at 42,000 for those games. And they opened up the upper deck. They've opened to full capacity, 71,000. And I'm hearing that, they're kind of shooting for a full house. And it's on artificial turf. That was the other big thing
Yeah. I don't think people realize, because I've been to Atlanta, they're huge over there. Like, people are walking around with United jerseys left and right. Metro buses are all, painted up or whatever, stickered up with the Atlanta United stuff. They are legit city behind soccer, and that I was impressed, man, because I went there. I've been there a couple of times, but a few years back when I went for the SEC Media Days, and I'm there that week for the SEC, and I'm looking around, and it's like there's United jerseys everywhere, and I was so impressed how, come on, hockey never survives.
Atlanta,
baseball sometimes doesn't really draw like it should at times. You know what I mean? Like, Atlanta would become like a soccer hub. That is nuts, dude. And they are full blown supporting their team. They're
Yeah,
awesome.
well, one reason there's a few reasons. I mean, obviously the owner who also owns the Falcons has done a great job of getting that fan base super excited about Atlanta United. And you're right. When I've been in Atlanta, a lot of the houses have Atlanta United flags hanging outside their garages, and people have flags hanging from their cars. You do see, like in the airport, where you can buy all of their gear and all of their merchandise is everywhere. So that's one thing. But then also Tata Martino and Joseph Martinez also are a big reason that the fans are so rabid up there, because they led that team to the MLS Cup in 2018, 5 years ago. And that team became, in their second year in existence, became the best team in the league under the guidance of Tata Martino and with Joseph Martinez as the league MVP. So this game coming up on Saturday also has that side story, which is the return of Tata, the return of Martino and Martinez, the return of Tata and Joseph back to where it all started for them with MLS. And it's going to be interesting to see what kind of reception they get. It's going to be interesting to see if Tata decides to start Joseph, or does he start Leo Campana, who was just named MLS Player of the Week this week for 2 goals against Kansas City. So he's got a really tough decision there between those two guys, because one of them has a long history with Atlanta, knows the opponent, knows the artificial turf surface, knows the crowd, and obviously has something to prove against the team that dumped him. On the other hand, you've got Leo Campana, who, are you going to sit the guy who has scored 2 goals against Cincinnati and 2 goals against Kansas City, and who's, riding the week where he was just named MLS Player of the Week? So that's going to be interesting to see who plays there. But yes, Atlanta is a very soccer loving town at this point, and they are big on this team. And I've heard that, the crowd is going to be really, really big. And I looked at the tickets, even at the 300 level. On the upper deck at the 300 level, tickets were going for like $250, $300 at the
Wow.
upper level corners, on the upper level corner seats.
Wow. That's insanity. I read most of your stuff. I don't know if maybe I missed it. Have you asked Leo what is he doing to stay healthy? Because Campana's issue was never whether he could play or not. We all saw the talent. It was there. He just kept getting injured and couldn't stay in the lineup. Have you asked him what his regimen is now? Did he figure out his body? I mean, I don't even want to add any bad luck to the whole thing, because the guy's on a run right now, and and it's not on a run of scoring. I mean, on a run that he's playing every game. He
Yeah.
even played that 130-minute game, which I was really impressed with. So his durability and availability has improved. I wonder what he's doing. I wonder what he figured out.
I don't know that, because we really don't get to talk to him. We've only gotten to talk to him one time. I believe it was August 17th. Uh, we've only had one interview with him, so we don't get to talk to him. We don't get to ask him questions. We have not had a chance to ask him about this run of, he has scored 11 goals over 11 games, which is an incredible stretch. We have not had a chance to talk to him about that success that he's had, or
We
about the decisions, to not play in
saw
Bolivia or to play in Bolivia. I mean, we don't really get to ask him those questions. We don't.
well, we
Yeah, I
saw
know.
you guys need to make your players more available to the media, because these are stories that we need to find out. They're interesting. I think it's a great story, actually, the the stuff that he has been able to overcome, because we look at Robbie Robinson, and he's been in his abyss for one thing or another and never gets out of it, whereas
Right.
this young man had to deal with his body constantly breaking down.
Yeah, and he's
And
36. He's 36 years old. He's 36, but he does not come out of games. You know,
Campana,
we're talking about,
I'm talking
huh?
about I'm talking about
Oh, you're
Campana.
talking about Campana. I thought you were talking about Messi. I'm sorry. I
No,
thought
I'm
you were
talking
talking
about
about how is
Campana.
Messi playing so many
That's
games.
the
Okay.
story. You should get access to Campana,
Oh,
because I
yes.
think, yeah, I think that's a great story. What he's
Yeah,
doing.
he did talk at the beginning of the season, before the season started. right at the early part of the season, I did do an interview with him. He did say back then that he was doing things because he was coming off this season where he had so many injuries, and he did say that he was eating differently, that he was working out differently, that he was working more on recovery than he had before. You know, that after every game he was doing a lot more work on recovery that he had done before. But yeah, it is an issue, especially with these cup games that they were playing. Like I just said about Leo Messi, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about him. That, you know, playing 90 minutes for game after game after game every fourth day. That's a lot to ask of your body, especially, by the way, Messi's 36. No, Campana's not 36. But
Oh,
for any of them at any age, to play that many games in a row and to play cup games, league games, you know, every couple of 3-4 days, you're back on the field playing a game that's really tense. Um, so, yeah, they need to do a good job. And they did have some injuries beginning of this year. I mean, you saw Gregory got injured, Mota got injury, uh, um, Negri also got injured, Coco Jean got injured. They all had knee injuries. So, and Ian Frey with a second knee injury. So this team has had quite a few injuries to players that were key players. It's just that this whole infusion of the summer, you know, the new summer campers who came in, 6 new players, brand new, and all 6 of them have been players who have been, you know, playing key roles and starting roles. So even though you're missing the captain of the team, Gregory, and Mota, and Coco Jean, and Negri, Franco Negri, who was a starter beginning of the season, no one even, I mean, I don't want to say no one's thinking about them or cares about them. They do, but the team has such an infusion of new talent that they've been able to make up for the guys that were lost to injury.
when are we getting Gregory back?
He had a setback. So that's going
Oh,
to be at least till October. Yeah.
oh,
He
I'm
was
sorry.
supposed to come back in September, had a setback, something about the screw that they put in, something happened in his foot. So I don't anticipate him coming back anytime soon, unfortunately. Good guy,
Yeah, yeah. I
player.
know, and a good player, man. That would have been a real huge addition to the defense in the back end to get him back. All right, so we look at this matchup. We have no calendar for this one, correct?
No, you'll have calendar. He's
Oh,
back.
calendar. Oh, he's back.
Everybody's
Okay,
back. Yeah, the games were all last night. So
okay.
everybody's back.
Everybody's
Everybody's either already back or flying back today. Yeah, and
all right.
Drake didn't play. He didn't play against Oman, although but Ben Hakramashi did. Ben Hakramaski did have his US debut. He played 20 minutes last night for the US senior national team, which was an amazing moment to see that 18-year-old go from youth academy kid to US national team in the span of 1 year.
Yeah,
Amazing. And he
it is.
played well. Played well. He played 20 minutes. He had a really nice, he had 15 touches, I think, in his 20 minutes. I looked up his stats. He had a beautiful pass that led to an own goal, but it was a beautiful pass that led to Paredes making a nice shot, which was deflected in by one of their defenders. But that play would not have happened were it not for Benha. So
Okay.
yeah.
What's the issue with Atlanta this week? What's the challenge for Miami? Because man, it's looking good. You're 6 points behind with 8 games left. You continue at this pace, you're going to have a shot at getting. By the way, the 8th spot is now becoming available to you also because that's only 1 point ahead of the 9th spot, and you have 2 games in hand on the team that's in the 9th spot and 1 game in hand with the team that's in the 8th spot. So Miami has a real shot at the 9th and the 8th spots.
They do. They really do. They've closed the gap from being 12 points down when Messi got here, and they were in last place in the standings, and they were 12 points away with 12 games remaining. And that seemed it seemed insurmountable in a way. Now they've cut the gap to 6 points. They're still in 14th place, but the gap in points is shrinking from 12 points away to 6 points away with 8 games remaining. The other teams, a lot of the other teams have played already 28 games. They've played 26. So they do have 2 games in hand to many of these teams that are ahead of them, which is going to be critical in the last few weeks of the season. These 2 games in hand is going to be really big when you start doing the math. And yeah, Miami has 28 points right now. They have to get to probably 42 or 43, between 42 and 44 points will probably get them in based on history. Based on the last 3 years, the teams that finish in ninth place had between 42 to 43 points. So they have 28. So if they get 6 wins, that's 18 points. If they get 5 wins out of the next 8 games, that's 15 points. That gets them to 43. If they get 6 wins, that's 18 points. So they have 8 games left, 2 games in hand. If they win 5 or 6 of those, they could make the play-in game for sure. The play-in game is the 8th and 9th. The 8th and 9th place teams get to play in like a wild card play-in game. So they would get that wild card play-in game spot with 8th or 9th place. And all of a sudden that seems, that doesn't seem like a crazy notion anymore at this point, like it did
No.
before. You keep saying, well, how many more can they win? But every week we say the same thing. Can they keep doing this? Can they keep doing that? They keep doing it. So, yeah.
All right. Biggest challenge that Atlanta possesses for Miami on Saturday at 5:00. What is it?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is the surface, artificial surface. This is a surface that Messi has not played on since he was a child. And the same goes, I think, for Busquets and for Jordi Alba. These are 3 of the key players on the team. They don't play on that. They have not played on that since they were kids. And so, that is a very different surface. Obviously, they'll be training on it this week. InterMiami has an artificial field that they can train on, but it will feel different on their feet. The ball rolls different. It is different to play on that surface. And then the crowd, it's potentially going to be, I think it'll be obviously the biggest crowd that they've ever played against, played in front of, because it's going to be maximum 50,000 people, beyond that probably. So it's going to be a huge crowd. And then, Thiago Almeida, who's on the Argentine national team and who is a teammate of Messi's, he's obviously a very, very good player. He's on the Argentine national team. He's going to want to do well. But I will say this is the 3rd time these 2 teams have played this year. Miami beat them without Messi. First weekend of May, Miami beat them 2-1. And then Miami beat them 4-0 with Messi in the Leagues Cup. Miami beat Atlanta 4-0. And Messi scored 2 goals in that game. So Miami has already won both times that they've played Atlanta, even though Atlanta's 6th place in the standings with 42 points and Miami's in 14th place. You would think on paper that Atlanta's a big favorite at home, but the times that they have played 2 times, Miami has won both of those games, 2-1 and 4-0. So I don't think they're as big of an underdog as it maybe looks if you just were to look at the standings. They've already beaten them twice. This one, of course, will be up there. It will be a huge crowd. It will be on artificial surface. So it's going to be interesting to see.
By the way, after the win in LAFC, I don't think Vegas is going to heavily favor anybody against Miami on the road. It doesn't matter. If Miami's a road team, they'll either be favored, or if the other team's favored, it'll be barely, because I think they kind of learned their lesson after that performance at LAFC, because so many around the league did not think that Miami was even ready for that game. And that game sent a huge message around the league, like, holy crap, these guys went to LAFC and won. Like that was huge, man. That was,
yeah. And they went to Philly and won. They went to Philly and won. They went to New York. They went to Cincinnati, which was an incredible crowd. That was not filled with pink shirts at that one. That one was filled with Cincinnati fans. And yeah, it was close game and everything, but they have been winning everywhere. They've been winning at the hardest stadiums to win at in this league. And this is going to be yet another one. Atlanta is going to be, a huge high profile game. But I would not, I don't bet, but I wouldn't bet against Miami. They haven't lost in 12 games. It's unbelievable what they've done. It really is. And maybe the odds would tell you, well, at some point their luck is going to run out. They're going to have to lose. But so far we keep saying that. I remember saying that when they were going to play Philadelphia. I thought, well, Jim Curtin, he's the best coach in MLS. This is going to be, one of the best coaches in MLS. This is going to be a huge test for them. And, they just keep on rolling. Same with Cincinnati. Great team.
maybe
Nashville. They beat Nashville on the road. They beat Cincinnati on the road. They
Maybe
beat New
it's not
York on
about
the road.
luck.
They beat LAFC on the road. Yeah.
Maybe it's not about luck. It's about skill. Maybe that's what it is. We keep
Yeah.
thinking
They're
luck
very good.
because sometimes when you're an upstart team, you're an underdog and you get on a roll, you're the Marlins and you get on a roll, okay, you don't have a big payroll and so you kind of think, okay, when are the wheels going to fall off? When is your luck going to run out? But there's a difference here. You got the best player in the world and you have built actually a really good team around him and then you've put some really nice young players around him. It's just, maybe it's not luck. Maybe it's just that they're winning. They're good. That's what it is. Oh, before I let you go, one of the young guys did get hurt. One of the under 22 guys. What's the deal? What do we know?
Diego Gomez. Yeah,
Yes,
he
yes,
got hurt. He got hurt playing for the Paraguay national team. I'm waiting to hear his status coming back. He didn't play in their second game. So he injured, I believe it was like a leg muscle, like a thigh muscle or calf or something like that. And that, those things can be tricky. So I have not heard an injury update. They were waiting for him to come back here and to evaluate him to see, what his availability. That's for Diego Gomez for Paraguay. Yeah, he did get injured in that game. He did.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Follow her on Twitter at Koff Sports. Catch her work there at the Miami Herald, always getting it done and giving you all the insight on Inter Miami as they get ready for the Atlanta United. And that'll be Saturday at 5 o'clock on the road.
Saturday at 5. Yeah, it's an early game. Yeah, 5 o'clock on Saturday. So don't wait till 7:30 to tune in. 5 o'clock.
I know it should be fun to watch a game with 70,000 people screaming, and I'm sure a lot of them will be screaming for Inter Miami because Inter Miami is bringing it on the road too, which is actually really really cool.
Yeah,
Michelle,
they've
as
kind of
always,
become like the national team. They've kind of become like the national team of MLS that everybody has their team and then they're interested in watching Miami and they're all interested to see Messi. So it's really they're drawing everywhere they go and it's fun. It's been a fun ride.
tell them about the Herald. What do you got going on, and of course the podcast.
Yes, I have a podcast. It drops on Thursdays. It's called Inside Inter Miami, and it'll be, even more, all kinds of stuff. Listen to Big O's, listen to this podcast, and then you can never get enough of this team, of course, right? So you'll get to,
Right.
I'll talk again about some of the stuff we talked about and some stuff we didn't talk about on Inside Inter Miami with my co-host Andre Fernandez. That drops on Thursdays, and then my stories. I did a story if you haven't read it yet, they just signed a 16-year-old, Santi
Yeah.
Morales, who's the son of Javi Morales, the former MLS star from Real Salt Lake. They just signed his son, 16 years old, yesterday, the seventh homegrown player to be signed from the academy to the first team. So David Beckham wanted all along to bring up academy players, and they've been doing that to the tune of 7 guys already from the academy team on the first team. So I wrote a story on him, and I'll be previewing in the Miami Herald on MiamiHerald.com, previewing the game against Atlanta. I'll let you know the update on Messi's condition, Diego Gomez, all the different injuries and all the, everything leading up to the game on Saturday to get you ready for the big game.
And by the way, to kind of explain for people that are kind of new to all of this, the importance of developing all these academy players, it's not only so you can have young players come up and obviously become stars for you and foundational pieces, but if you get to a point where you're developing more than what you need, you then start to sell these players. And then that, as a business, you start to bring in revenue that way also, which allows your soccer business to grow too at the same time. So it's kind of a two-headed monster that you're trying to solve two things. One, take care of your own team, but on the flip side, business. You might be able to sell somebody for some serious money, right?
Yeah, the MLS has been wanting to become more of a selling league than a buying league. Yes, they've been bringing in stars from Europe and Latin America, but they would like to actually sell also and they have been. They've been selling a lot more players in recent years.
Yeah.
And so that's what Inter Miami is trying to get to that level too, where they develop players and then, some of these guys become coveted by scouts around the world, then they can go play in Europe and Inter Miami gets a big paycheck for them and a big transfer fee. and then they can use that money to continue to build the roster. So absolutely, the development of the youth is partly for the short term, but also for the long term, to build your long-term roster by having more money in your coffers to be able to buy some of these big-time players.
Yeah, and the U.S. and the MLS has done a nice job of growing in that direction. They're no longer a retirement league, and I'm really proud of the MLS watching them the way they are now. Michelle, as always, you're awesome. Enjoy the game. Enjoy the week. We will catch up next week, and hopefully the boys will continue to climb in the standings.
All right. Thanks. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Always fun. Thank you, Michelle. There you go. Michelle Kaufman with our EJDconstruction.com InterMiamiCF report.